Debts play an important role in our lives, as most as us cannot afford to purchase everything in cash. We use debt to buy things such as a house and a car to fulfill our desire. Garen led a comfortable life working as a sales manager, earning a 5-figure salary. He had a good lifestyle and was prudent with his spending. The recent economic crisis, however, forced his foreign employer to shut down its operation in the country, forcing Garen out of a job. Garen married to Gina 5 years ago, and currently Gina has no job as she was a full-time housewife. He had to support his ailing mother who had medical complications. It was difficult for Garen to get a new job despite trying hard to look for one, and his wife. She has to take care of Garen's mother. Garen did not have anyone to turn to. He had to single-handedly support his mother and wife. Pressed for cash, Garen turned to personal loans and credit cards to continue funding his lifestyle as well as ensuring that his mother and wife had everything they needed. The thought of being bankrupt frightened Garen, so he started working odd jobs to repay for his debts. Garen accumulated a total of 3 million on credit cards and personal loans. Creditors began sending legal letters to Garen demanding payments and threatening bankruptcy. The thought of being bankrupt frightened Garen, so he started working odd jobs to repay for his debts. Due to insufficient income against his commitments, Garen had to even skip meals to ensure his mother had money for her medication. It was when his situation worsened that he decided to seek Akpk's help. Major signs of potential financial difficulties that Garen had been facing. The first one, savings. Based on the situation given, Garen, who was a sales manager, faced a slew of potential difficulties. Firstly, loss of employment. Garen, who had been laid off due to economic crisis, Garen's foreign employer was forced to close its operation in the country, putting him out of work. In this case, Garen having little or no saving to handle unexpected expenses or emergencies. He is simply depleting his savings at an alarming rate. Second, financial problems affect a marriage. Financial problems affect a marriage. Financial problems within a marriage can lead to one spouse overspending, being stingy with finances. Gina, his wife, is unemployed and unable to support his family and support him financially. Thus, he had to single-handedly support his unemployed wife. This actually caused overspending where he had to take care of his wife's needs as well. Moving on to the third, credit cards. Garen have been using his credit card to keep his lifestyle going while also making sure his mother and wife had everything that needed, where he began defaulting on payments and barely making the minimum payments on his 3 credit cards, which had led him to accumulate a total of 3 million of debts. Elsewhere, Garen is paying only minimum balances each month on his 3 credit cards. This might increase the outstanding balance every month. Moving on to the fourth one, loans. Receiving notices from banks or lenders for non-payment of debts, which means you are already missing payments on a regular basis to the point where debt collectors are harassing you and threatening legal action. You need to act quickly. Elsewhere, creditors began sending legal letters to Garen demanding payments and threatening bankruptcy. The last one, expenses. Depending on odd jobs to pay debts. You may be unable to resolve the situation on your own, putting your assets and income at risk, such as Garen started working odd jobs to repay for his debts. This leads him to skip meals to ensure his mother had money for her medications. Eventually, he decided to seek Akpk's help. Garen is declared bankrupt. There are many things he will be legally restricted from doing. First, appointed a DJI. Once declared a bankrupt, a person will be assigned to the Director General of Insolvency, DGI. The DGI will administer all of the individual's assets and manage it to repay the outstanding debts. So once declared bankrupt, a person's asset will all be put under the administration of the DGI. The DGI is responsible for liquidating such assets and then distribute the proceeds to the creditors. The distribution will be supervised by the court. If a person earns additional income after being declared bankrupt, the office of the DGI will inspect it and then it will reduce the person's payment rate accordingly. The Act does not allow a bankrupt to start a business or actively participate in any existing business, even if it is on a minority interest basis. The second one, travel ban. Garen cannot leave the country without the court's or DG's approval. A person who has been declared bankrupt will be unable to flee the country unless they have written permission from the DGI or have obtained a court order allowing them to do so. Third, limited credit line. Existing bank accounts will be deactivated and a bankrupt will no longer be able to withdraw money from them. A bankrupt is also prohibited from using their credit card for more than 1,000 ringgit, obtaining credit for more than 1,000 ringgit from any creditor. 4. Assets taken away. The DGI will manage the individual's assets once he or she is declared bankrupt. The DGI, for example, will take over an individual's home and automobiles and manage them by reselling them to pay outstanding debts. Fifth, employment restricted. A bankrupt will be unable to work in certain professions where professional associations or licensing authorities have imposed restrictions. The following are some professions that a bankrupt cannot work as: lawyer, quantity survey, accountant, doctor. Aside from that, a person who has been declared bankrupt is ineligible to serve as a director of a corporation. A bankrupt is also prohibited from owning or participating in the ownership of a business. So, no entrepreneurship is permitted once a person has been declared bankrupt. Things that Karen need to do when he had unmanageable debts. First, credit counseling. Through credit counseling, Garen receives professional guidance in better managing his finances and revamping his spending habits. Second, emergency fund. An emergency fund is a stash of money set aside to cover the financial surprises life throws away. Then, after every time Garen dip into this fund for an emergency, be sure to replenish it. Third, negotiate with financier. The first step Garen should always be to contact the bank or financier and inform them of the repayment difficulties. Ask to renegotiate about the interest rates and repayment amounts as well as an extension on his payment due dates. It may not always work, but it is certainly worth a try. The last one, consolidation. Consolidation means rolling several monthly payments into a single one. If Garen debt isn't excessive and he has good credit, another smart way to manage his debts is to consolidate them. This means taking out a personal loan or extending his mortgage to pay off all your debts, then paying it back over a fixed term. About AKPK, the bank established the Agency Counseling dan Pengurusan Kredit (AKPK) in 2006 to provide advisory services and assistance to individual borrowers in managing their finances. AKPK is set up by BNM. AKPK's mission is to make prudent financial management a way of life for all Malaysians. It seeks to equip Malaysians to live their lives with good money management skills and debts that are manageable. Services that are free of charge provided by AKPK. First, financial education programs and materials on the proper use of credit and basic money management skills, as well as tips on how to use credit wisely. Second, financial counseling and advice, providing individuals with an in-depth evaluation of their problems and how these may be resolved. Third, Debt Management Program (DMP). Through which Akpk works with individuals in developing personalized debt repayment plans and consults with their lenders to structure manageable repayment schemes.